I'm thinking that as more and more comes out, he will be more privy to be sharing things about the royal family and trading secrets for cash.
Is he going to write a tell-all memoir, go down the Harry route and make lots of money if his brother doesn't give him any? That's the danger.
We're moving on from the whole Thomas Markle debacle, and it is a bit of a debacle. Is she justified in that, Samara?
It's egregious and unforgivable how she has treated her dad in what could potentially be his last days, his last months.
What I'm really questioning here is why is Harry's name attached to this?
I see a fracture of the relationship. I think that they have gone separately business-wise. This year has been the business divorce, and I think potentially next year it might be the real one.
Welcome to Royal Exclusive, where this week King Charles delivers some much needed good news that his cancer treatment is being reduced. Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor breathes a sigh of relief as police drop their investigation into claims he tried to smear Virginia Giuffre, and celebration in Montecito as Meghan and Harry turn their attention to the cutthroat business of Girl Scouts selling cookies. I'm Matt Wilkinson, The Sun's royal editor, and joining me to discuss all this and more is GB News royal correspondent Cameron Walker and news commentator Samara Gill. Welcome. So surprise, surprise, the Met Police say they will not be investigating, or there is no case to investigate regarding Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor and the allegation that he asked some of his Met Police bodyguards to dig up dirt on Virginia Giuffre. I never thought there was going to be an investigation, but does this now mean that he can move quietly up to Sandringham without the focus, without the trouble? Is this the end of the woes for Andrew?
I think the jury's out on that one, excuse the pun, because the Met Police said, although there's no new evidence right now, if there is any new evidence that comes to light, for example, in the Epstein files in the United States, then they will assess any new evidence that is put to them. I mean, these allegations date back to 2011 when the Virginia Giuffre, the photograph of her and Prince Andrew was first published, and Andrew allegedly asked his Metropolitan Police bodyguard to dig the dirt, essentially, on Virginia, claims which we put to him and haven't heard back. But the Met, of course, said they'd have a look at it and no new claims to answer. But, you know, the Andrew story keeps rumbling on, and just when you think it's over and there's nothing left to say, another photograph emerges or another allegation emerges, and I just don't know where this stops.
Well, they haven't, our understanding is they didn't speak to Andrew, so he hasn't been interviewed. All I can imagine is they went to the police officers involved and said, did you do this? They say no, OK, move on, next. But you're right, there will be more coming along. There will be more things coming from the US, won't there, Samara? We'll hear things from possibly the Epstein files, which should be, I think, 30 days. They said that it should be out by now. I think there may have been a delay on receiving these files. But will he have a quiet life up in Sandringham now? Do you think that he is breathing a sigh of relief?
I don't think he is, because I think that there could be more skeletons in the closet there. I mean, it just seems that, yes, he's unravelling in front of our eyes. And it's quite interesting with Andrew because, in a way, of course, he had many years of protection from the Queen. She did protect him from a lot. She maintained his titles. She supported him financially, even when he was out on his own. Now, obviously, the King takes a much dimmer view of him, and no doubt William will absolutely, strip him of any sort of entitlement or privileges that he may keep. But I do think that this is not the end, and in a way, they're creating a bit of a liability for themselves here, the royal family, because Andrew is going to need money somehow, and how he gets that and how he maintains a lifestyle that he's very eager to keep up. We're hearing about potential Middle East deals, him going over to Abu Dhabi and living in palaces over there, which I don't know will happen full time, but, he definitely wants to sustain a particular lifestyle. So I'm thinking that as more and more comes out, he will be more privy to be sharing things about the royal family and trading secrets for cash.
Well, he's a private individual now, Samara. Do you know about this? It's like we were investigating his new property up in Sandringham. We believe it's a place called Marsh Farm, but we're told by the palace that they cannot comment because there's GDPR, which is like data protection rules, and that he's a private individual. Does he now deserve to be a private individual, to live a private life up in Sandringham without us asking questions about where he lives, and should he speak to the police?
Well, he's never going to be a completely private individual because although all of his titles have been taken away, he is still the King's brother, and he's still the supposedly favourite son of the late Queen Elizabeth II. So although he's got no kind of entitlement in terms of the public role of the monarchy, he's still kind of in the firm. And the danger, I think, for the royal family, and particularly the king, is if you completely cast him out and give him no financial support or no housing support whatsoever, as we've been saying, he needs to get money from somewhere. The only money we know he gets is his modest military pension, which isn't a lot, to be perfectly honest. And it runs the danger of Andrew falling into the wrong hands financially, which perhaps was one of the reasons why he associates himself with the paedophile Jeffrey Epstein, the billionaire. But what's next? Is he going to write a tell-all memoir, go down the Harry route and make lots of money if his father does, if his brother doesn't give him any? That's the danger.
It is a danger. We talk about him going away quietly. It's just not. He's not going to go away quietly. But you mentioned there about the military pension. So this week, I think this is the final kind of thing that he can be stripped of, really. But he's lost his vice admiral title in the Navy. So he did serve in the Falklands. He still keeps his rank, which I think is a commander. He still keeps the rank that he served in the Falklands. But this was a ceremonial kind of extra title because of who he was. Does Andrew deserve to lose that title?
I think they had no choice, because I think we and the public were starting to ask questions of the Royal Navy when it came to that title. As you say, Matt, he did serve in the Falklands in the 1980s. He was seen in Britain as a war hero, and arguably he was. But I think, in Palace sources' words, his lack of judgment when it came to Epstein and the fallout with Epstein and the allegations with Virginia Giuffre, which he's always denied, he's just created this problem for himself. And I think there was such public outrage around all of these titles that they simply had no choice, rather like the king did with writing a letters patent to remove his prince title.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like try to draw a line under stuff. I can't think of anything else that they can take from him now. They've taken his house, they've taken the prince, they've taken the duke, they've taken the Order of the Garter, now the vice admiral.
You say we've taken the duke, legally he still is. That would require an act of parliament, but the king's done everything within his power to remove it from the rolls and all of that.
Okay. Well, let's have a quick chat about Andrew's daughters. So Beatrice and Eugenie, we touched on these in the past about whether they should pay for the sins of their parents. They're in a bit of a quandary here because there's a lot of affection for both of them. I think in the royal family, I don't think they don't want them to be infected by the trouble that Andrew and Sarah have gone through. What are they going to do for Christmas? I know we're all talking about who we're going to see. Are we going to go and see your mum? Are you going to go see your auntie? Are you going to go see your cousin at Christmas? Where are you going to spend Christmas Day or Boxing Day? Should they be spending it with Andrew and Sarah on their own? Should they be spending it in Sandringham? Because we think they've been invited to both. What do you think they're going to do?
Well, it's a huge conundrum for them. I think the Mail on Sunday was saying if Princess Beatrice wanted to spend it with the royal family and her mother and her father, that's a lot of time in the car. And I think that's right, because of course Sandringham is where the royal family will be spending Christmas. Princess Beatrice was there last year with her husband and stepson and daughter. It's a huge conundrum because on the one hand, she would want to stay close to members of the royal family. She attended the private Christmas lunch at Buckingham Palace this week, so she clearly is still in the fold. But she's still a daughter to a father and a mother who have had a pretty rocky ride over the last few months. Will she want to support them? I suggest she probably does. But of course, there's the added pressure of being a member of the royal family and being in the public eye, that could potentially lead to some scrutiny, or at the very least, a lot of media coverage, which perhaps she wouldn't want. And the same with Eugenie. You
pointed out they went to the Buckingham Palace lunch. This is a kind of pre-Christmas thing that the king hosts for all the extended family. Up to about 70 members of the family go. I'd love to go to that Christmas lunch and hear the gossip and meet, the extended members of the royal family. Andrew and Sarah didn't go. Wise decision, I think. But what do you think? What do you think the future is of Beatrice and Eugenie, Samara?
Well, they've been cut out of that ironclad lease because part of that lease was that they would actually inherit it.
That's right. Very good point, yeah.
After, Andrew passed away. So
they've lost their inheritance, basically.
Well, exactly. And he's destroyed it for them, hasn't he? He's destroyed a lot for them. I think I'd be quite vengeful and enraged because also they've been left with having to deal with Sarah Ferguson, Fergie, their mother, who is now a massive liability to them. We know has a massive spending habit. She loves to rack up a good credit card bill. And luckily, both of them married quite well. They've got wealthy husbands, let's just say. And unfortunately, Fergie's going to be relying on them now to pay her bills. She's not going to go to Andrew like she used to go to. So I think they are actually being left to pick up all the pieces. And unfortunately, if they're smart and have half a brain on them, they'll attach themselves back to the royal family and try and maintain a lifestyle there and not associate them with their disgraced father.
Do you think they could be working royals, Cameron?
Well, we've seen part of that when it comes to Prince William allowing them, Eugenie and Beatrice, to help him host a garden party last summer when the Princess of Wales was ill. So I think they'll be, I hate the phrase part-time working royals, because of course we talked a lot about that, haven't we, with Harry and Meghan and not being allowed to do that. But I think where Beatrice and Eugenie have got the balance right is they, as you say, they've got two relatively wealthy husbands, they've got jobs and charity patronages of themselves. But at big state occasions or big events, I suspect we will see them begin to step up a little bit more and support their cousin, a future King William and current Prince of Wales in doing so. I don't think it would be wise for them to become full-time working members of the royal family. And I don't think they want to be honest. They've got the best of both worlds. They don't really have the scrutiny, apart from the problem they've got with their two parents. But, you know, can step in and go to the nice lunches at Buckingham Palace as and when they want.
They might have to. I mean, you made the point that they don't get Royal Lodge. They, you know, when Andrew dies, they might need to. We're talking about if they've got wealthy husbands, successful husbands. They're two really nice lads, by the way, aren't they? Jack and Edo, really super little lads. But they might need to be working royals to get some funding. We might need them in the future. If their parents can't support them, it might be the case where they could turn to the king or turn to, you know, King William when he becomes king and say, we don't mind helping out the firm. I would kind of welcome it. But would they be too scarred, too affected by the scandals of their parents? That's my only issue.
Well, they've got houses themselves. I think Beatrice has got a house in the Cotswolds. Eugenie's got one in Portugal as well. I think financially they're pretty independent, and I think that's, you know, very helpful for them because they don't have to rely on taxpayer-funded security or indeed money from the king or their cousin Prince William. So I don't think we'll be in a situation where they're going to be having to, you know, give their begging bowl to their cousin William and wanting to get money from him. I just don't see it unless there's some disaster when it comes to the finances of their two very wealthy husbands.
Interesting. Let's see how that develops. Do you agree with me? The King's statement that he went on to Channel 4, it was Stand Up to Cancer. He's patron of Cancer Research UK. It all seemed to work so well. But I messaged someone that we know who works for the Palace, like immediately after I watched that video, and I said, that was actually really good. Because sometimes you listen to these speeches, these addresses, and sometimes they don't hit. I think that King address where he was talking about not only his own good news that he's reducing his treatment, but also talking to patients. And he was talking about getting other people to sign up to register for early screening. I thought it was really strong, Cameron. How did you treat it?
Yeah, I think it was as well. When I heard rumours that a statement was coming from the king, I thought, oh no, here we go. And I was pleasantly surprised. And I think, Matt, as you say, it was really humble. It was very simple, I think, and the way he kind of didn't make the top line for him, at least, was about the fact that his cancer treatment was going to be reduced. It was about the wider public good. Let's get early screening in the mainstream. There's this new brilliant screening tool on the Cancer Research UK website for cervical, bowel, and another type of cancer as well, breast cancer as well. And since the King's message, the website has, I mean, not quite crashed, but it's been unprecedented demand for that screening tool, suggesting that the King's words do have a lot of power when it comes to the public consciousness. And, you know, as a spokesperson told me, and probably told you, Matt, as well, you know, I think the King, he said that I think the King would be delighted that him choosing to speak out about his personal and to some extent private medical details when it comes to cancer has some wider public good. So I think it was, you know, a great message.
Well, in many ways, he's almost like an influencer in the kind of cancer world. He's like the face of many, you know, kind of cancer issues, about raising awareness, talking about his own, being so open about his cancer.
I mean, he really is the personification of stoicism here. Like, I almost forgot about his battle, to be honest, the past year or two, because he's been out there shaking hands, doing what he does best, you know, perusing the crowd, making sure that he shows up to all the events. I mean, he's cut down his schedule, but not that much. So when he made this announcement, I thought, oh, okay. I mean, it didn't seem to me like, oh, we haven't seen him for years and he's just come out. he's been out and about. So I think you're right. He's using what's happened to him for good, and he's trying to, as you said, influence others to go and get checked out. And I just think this is the best of what it is to be royal. This is using your power for good things. And unfortunately, across the pond and stuff, that just doesn't happen. So it's not, but it's nice to see the king actually making a difference and making a change with that.
Because he could have just done it on his Christmas address maybe, or something like that, but then he would have made the Christmas address all about him. He could have just done a press release, but this, I think, just had more impact, and that's what he wanted. But I'm quite interested in, I don't know what you guys think about this, is that using, he used that television night on Channel 4 that was all about cancer to get his message across. William used Eugene Levy. Do you remember the show that he did with him to kind of get lots of news about how he wants to go forward, how he wants to modernise the royal family. What do you think about the way that the royals are using, how getting their message out these days, rather than the kind of more traditional methods?
I think there's a huge difference between the way that King Charles and Prince William approach the media and who they're willing to either speak to or be on TV. So, for example, as you said, King Charles chose a public service broadcaster, Channel 4, to discuss his cancer diagnosis to the British public in particular, during their Stand Up to Cancer night, as it were, to kind of raising awareness and raising money to support people with that disease. Whereas William, as you mentioned, Eugene Levy, but also the social media strategy and all the rest of it, it's far more of an international audience and an international press. And William will one day, of course, be potentially head of the Commonwealth, but at least, head of state in 15 Commonwealth realms, including the United Kingdom, of course. So he does have that kind of global reach, and sources close to him say, he wants to be seen as a global statesman. And I think it's sometimes easy to forget that the power of the royal family when it comes to soft diplomacy. Donald Trump, for example, the President of the United States, adores both the Prince and Princess of Wales and King Charles. And I think perhaps by speaking to a global audience on a global platform like Apple TV+, as William did, it does create that likability with the American audience and others around the world.
It's interesting. It's like a modern way to get across message. I don't know. Did they steal it from the Sussexes? Do they steal this this modern way after Sussexes have gone on Netflix and Oprah Winfrey and stuff like that? Have they copied them?
I think the Sussexes are stealing it from them, it seems. I mean, they were the original blueprint. I mean, William and Kate were the first to get onto social media and do these really nice videos that sort of put across their point. And I agree with you. They're completely doing it in such a lovely way, because it's more appropriate for the king to go on television. I would feel weird if the king was doing an Instagram reel about his cancer diagnosis. You know what I mean? But you're right. Generation to generation, they're going about it in a very smart and meticulous way to make sure that they are getting to the right audiences, getting the right message across, and doing it in a way that represents the royal family, how we see them. So I'm really impressed by the media strategy of the firm.
And William needs to get on board with the younger generation. He needs to persuade the younger generation that him being king is worth it. What's the best way to talk to the younger generation? Through streaming platforms and social media.
There is a more traditional future thing for the king. He will, we believe, that due to the good news about his cancer, that there will be foreign tours next year. I mean, there wasn't much this year. We had a couple of trips to Italy, 24 hours in Canada. We didn't get the full list of foreign tours that we were promised. We should get USA in April, and he should go to the Commonwealth Heads of Government, which is Antigua and Barbuda in the Caribbean in November. 2 big tours. You looking forward to that? Is that too much for the king? He's still undergoing cancer treatment?
Well, I remember when he visited Australia and Samoa for the previous Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in 2024. Doctors allowed him to pause his cancer treatment so he could go on a longer trip, 10 days or so. And his cancer treatment schedule is now being reduced. So if doctors say it's okay for him to go ahead with these tours, then great. I suppose the balance for the king and his doctors and his staff is he up to it physically? I think mentally, absolutely he is. And the Queen, said on the record a number of times, it's really hard to get him to slow down and do as he's told. And I think the king is pretty determined to A, visit the Caribbean realms as king, and B, accept the invitation to the United States of America, because he is the monarch at the time that America will be celebrating the 250th anniversary of removing British rule, which I think he'd want to be at. So I think he'd be pretty determined.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. This is the role that he waited for over 70 years, you know? And I think it's quite clear that he wants to embrace it. But you're right, it's very hard for him. Of course, we hear all the stories of him just falling asleep at his desk constantly, being a workaholic. We know that for sure. But I think someone does probably need to step in and say, hey, you need to slow down and you need to let some other people take over. I think the issue is the clout that he has is unmatched at the moment. And when we talk about a slimmed down monarchy, I mean, Tina Brown has called it an anorexic monarchy because there aren't many people that can fulfill those duties.
Beatrice Eugenie.
Well, but they're tarred with the Andrew brush at the moment. I really think it's too fresh to start pushing them out. So, yeah, I completely agree, Cameron. I just think that he does need to stop, but he won't be stopping anytime soon.
Well, they say they made this announcement. They didn't really have to, but they made it. It's not like it, because it's normally once a week, like 3 weeks out of 4, sometimes 4 weeks, for a month. And they're saying it's a significant reduction. It's not like, once every 10 days now or something like that. It's literally a significant reduction. He'll be working 5 days a week. So it is good news, and we look forward to these things. But the 2 trips, hopefully, that we have next year. But I just want to touch briefly on Australia. Obviously, we've seen what's happened at Bondi Beach, and we've seen statements from both the King and Prince William. How important are they? How important is it that the King and Prince William come out with? Words matter at this time, isn't it, Samara? How important is it? You're Australian. I mean, how important was it to get the words from the King?
It was really important, and it was just lovely to have those words from the palace because Australia, I mean, we're still part of the Commonwealth. We look up so much to the royals, and every time that they step foot on our shores, we are sort of, just in awe of them, and it does bring everyone together. We have the royal hysteria. If you just look at the videos of when they come to Sydney and when they touch down in Melbourne, there is a love for the royals and a respect for them. And sometimes when you're outside of England, you can almost appreciate them more. So what they said in those statements, I think, came at the right time. I think it was worded perfectly. And I'm just glad that, we can still have that common thread between us that can sort of bind us all together. And that's what the royal family is for, in my opinion.
Yeah, well said. Thank you very much. We'll talk about Meghan briefly.
Okay.
If we have to.
Of course.
So we're moving on from the whole Thomas Markle debacle, and it is a bit of a debacle. She didn't go out there. She sent letters. She was phoning hospitals, but we now know that she allegedly will not speak to her father, Thomas, again. Is she justified in that, Samara?
No, not at all. I mean, the man's lost his leg. He's lying in a hospital in the Philippines. The letter that she claims to have sent him, she might as well have put that into a bottle and chucked it out to sea at Montecito for it to get to him. I mean, it's egregious and unforgivable how she has treated her dad in what could potentially be his last days, his last months. I mean, the fact that she wouldn't go and see him in hospital, I just don't know how she can come back from this reputationally. She will always be marred with the fact that she left her dad dying there after he funded her whole lifestyle and, was known as daddy. I mean, I know they've had problems. I know they've had issues, and we can get into that. That's a whole mountain of things. But I think that when he's there, helpless, she should have come to at least see him.
I think it's a really tricky situation for Meghan, and I'm not, as you say, there's a lot of issues there with the father and herself, but sources close to her claim that basically the reason why she couldn't either go there or speak to him on the phone and had to have this letter delivered to his bedside is because there is a journalist stationed at the bedside and her half-brother, Thomas Markle Jr. And from what I understand, what was in the letter was basically explaining why she felt that her father had done wrong by having this journalist at the bedside. But from Thomas's perspective and from the journalist's perspective, look, this isn't the journalist hijacking Thomas here. No. They had a relationship since 2018. And when I mean relationship, I mean a friendly, professional one. When Meghan basically became very estranged from her father, deleted the phone number from her phone. So it was something that Thomas wanted. The Mail says that nothing was published without Thomas's direct position. But it is in this horrible situation now where Thomas hasn't replied to Meghan's letter. We don't know exactly what was in it. And Meghan, I think I'm getting the sense she's just given up of speaking to her father, to be honest. And I
Well, we're
think
told
that
that
we are at this
she's not going to
stalemate.
speak to him again. She's
Yeah.
not going to speak to him again.
Yeah.
And that's just a horrible way to live your life, isn't
It's
it?
really horrible.
I mean, we only got one dad.
Well,
I just is baffled by it. Just
don't sell me this Christmas special. Don't sell me this gleaming, glamorous lifestyle that you live that's completely full of white linens and cashmere when we know the truth about what your actual existence is, Meghan, and how you treat your own family. I think it's going to be really hard for her to come back from this because now we know how ugly it is behind the scenes between her and her father. And everyone's got family estrangement. I've got a lot of time for that. I mean, you won't find a family that doesn't have a relative that they don't want to speak to or have issues with. But this is probably another level, to be honest, and it really reveals how Meghan really is and how much of everything that she shows us is just a facade that can easily be just peeled away.
it's damaged her brand. It's damaged her popularity. Do you?
Absolutely.
I think it's kind of added to that, hasn't it? I mean, you look at the wedding of Harry and Meghan in 2018, and you look at the family that attended it from Meghan's side, and it was just Doria, from what I could tell. There was, obviously, we knew Thomas couldn't come across for medical reasons after the paparazzi incident where he staged paparazzi photographs. But that was one mistake from Thomas. I think it could have perhaps been a bit easier if Meghan really tried to reach out after the wedding. But I think she was on cloud nine at the time, wasn't she? She'd just become this member of the royal family, arguably the most famous woman in the world at the time, and was living the life of luxury until perhaps it went south for her.
Well, let's just go back to the same point. When Charles announced he had cancer, Harry flew back. Whether he was welcome or not, we're not sure if he was actually welcome because he only spent about half an hour and then he was stopped from going to Sandringham. But he flew back, saw his dad at Clarence House because he wanted to see his dad because his dad had cancer. Meghan took a week to get a letter to her dad. And I think that says everything.
It does. And, there's also, we haven't got enough time to get into it, but the issue of money too. She parades around in £10,000 gowns and her dad is having his leg amputated in the Philippines. That is the optics of what is going on right now. And I agree with you. It shows you where the loyalties lie. The royal family, she can get a lot off. Her dad, not so much.
I think the risk of whatever she wrote or conversation leaking, I think it's worth it. I think it's worth.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
if she sent a letter or spoke to him and then it leaked out, so what?
Yeah.
You spoke to your dad. Well, why does that prevent you from reaching out to your dad? I think the risk is worth it.
Yeah, I think regardless of the media circus, even if she genuinely thought, and he was for a time, he was in intensive care, he was seriously ill, he could well have died. She could have flown there to the Philippines when she found out which hospital her father was in. As soon as she found out what hospital her father was in, she could have flown there. And regardless of the media circus, as you say, Matt, I think it could have been worth it. And I think she would have got a lot of respect, actually, from the public by just seeing her father, regardless of any media coverage that happened.
And he's not a well man. He's going to be back in hospital again, and we're going to have a similar situation.
Well, exactly. And it's chicken or the egg. I mean, the reason she took a week to speak to him is because the public and media scrutiny was so high that she then decided that she was going to talk to him. It wasn't that she was scared at the media picking up on her letter or whatever she was going to say to him. It was the opposite. So, yeah, you make a really good point. It's just...
Thank you. So occasionally I do.
Yeah, sometimes, Matt. Always.
Now, Harry and Meghan are executive producers, or have been named as executive producers. We'll question exactly what their role is, for a Cookie Queens documentary. Is this the project that's going to save their Netflix deal, Samara?
I mean, when I saw this press release and it came out very close to the whole dad debacle, family debacle, I thought, is this her sort of way of trying to quash what's going on? Because that's not going to do it for me. I mean, this is interesting. She obviously talks about her past as a Girl Scout and how she's connected to this project, but she's really had nothing to do with the project. She's just slapping the Sussex name onto it and Harry's name as well.
Do you think so? The documentary already exists, or does it? Already...
That's what, to my knowledge, the documentary already existed, and then she found a production company that was desperate enough to want her toxic name attached to it, and thought, okay, I'll do that. I think that's what happened in my opinion.
Yeah, I think. Well, no, it's. I mean, pretty much the same. I mean, Meghan, in her statement and what was told to the paper that got it originally, was that Meghan had seen a lot of the raw footage from this documentary and thought, oh, that's quite good. It's what I did as a kid, as you were saying, in Girl Scouts. My mother Doria was a scout leader, a Girl Guide leader, and I wanted to put my name to it. But what I'm really questioning here is, why is Harry's name attached to this? What on earth has Harry got to do with anything to do with Girl Scouts and cookies in the United States? It's baffling to me. I can totally see why Meghan wants to get on board with this and exec produce this and put her name to it. But I don't see what's in it for Harry. I can see what's in it for the production company, because the Duke and Duchess, well, we're talking about this new documentary now, aren't we? We wouldn't be if it wasn't the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's name attached to it. But I do question why Harry decided he wants to be part of this.
Well, he needs something to do, I suppose.
Well,
It does seem like the sort of drive to survive, but for Girl Scout cookies. Like, it's a very strange production that I agree with you. It's so confusing because Girl Scout cookies are completely foreign to us in Australia and the United Kingdom.
It's a very American thing,
Yeah.
I would imagine. We have American viewers that will probably screaming at us.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we love
yeah.
Girl Scout cookies. Let's talk about what it's actually meant to be. It's meant to be captivating, candid and full of heart. The film follows 4 girls aged 5 to 12, ages 5 to 12, and their families as they navigate the annual whirlwind of selling, striving and succeeding.
Isn't
Sounds
this
great.
but isn't this just Meghan? The 4 kids is basically Meghan seeing herself in these 4 kids.
Right.
Because they are female, they are young, they are ambitious, they are entrepreneurial, and they want to succeed in business by selling Girl Scout cookies. Who does that remind you of? That sounds like Meghan Markle, entrepreneurial,
Exactly.
happy to put her name out there with the girls washing pots and pans advert. I can't remember the name of the company now, but she changed that when she was young, and now she's got this As Ever brand. So you totally see why Meghan is so passionate about these 4 young girl business leaders selling Girl Scout cookies.
You've brought clarity to this, Cameron. I can
I
understand
couldn't
it.
agree more. Mounted in a whole bowl heap, though. It's like she acts like her jam is like some sort of billion-dollar empire. It's the same sort of thing. It's like scaling something up to what it is not. I mean,
Maybe the Girl Scout cookies will end up on the As Ever website.
I think that's going to happen, isn't it? Brand collaboration.
Yeah.
You mentioned about jam.
Yeah.
Did you see what the news about Meghan's jam this week? Did you get the email release or the newsletter update? She's describing her jam as the jam that broke the internet.
Right.
Is that a true description?
Well, I obviously am a royal correspondent, Matt, so my social media algorithms are quite tailored to members of the royal family. And I didn't see her jam on my social media feed.
Right.
So maybe it did break the internet, but not on my social media feed. But isn't she also...
Confections may vary.
Confections may vary. She's also selling marmalade, I believe, isn't she?
Giving free marmalade away if any order over $70.
Oh, so it really did break the internet, so much so that they have to give it away for free. I mean, come on now. This is the jam. Stuff that breaks the internet is scandalous stuff. That's what breaks the internet, not jam. Meghan is really conflating this as per usual. I mean, I think it's been an absolute flop, the relaunch of the jam and the marmalade. And as I said, so much so that she had to go on sale for Black Friday. She's now giving it away. It's a buy one, get one free offer. Don't lie to us again. I mean, just because some newspaper said that it was, broke the internet doesn't mean that it did.
We're all talking about it, though. We've been talking about a jam all year, haven't we?
Yeah,
really?
Ever since its launch, but you still can't get this in the United Kingdom. I'm desperate to try this stuff.
I've tried it.
Samara got some earlier this year.
Like?
It's yucky. It's fruit spread. It's not jam. It hasn't got enough sugar content. It's very sort of...
I see. Do you think it's worth the £8 or whatever it is to buy it?
Oh, it cost me a lot more than that.
Oh,
And it's not what I wouldn't endorse it, but if you want to go try it, you probably can. It's available on the site, so...
There we go.
Before we wrap, where do you think Meghan and Harry will be heading next year? We've still got the Netflix deal. We've still got As Ever. Do you think they will calm down? Do you think things will pick up? What are your predictions for the couple next year in their projects?
I see a fracture of the relationship. I think that they have gone separately business-wise. This year has been the business divorce. And I think potentially next year it might be the real one, because the way that they're going, the videos that I see, the fact that they're not really attaching themselves to anything together, apart from this Girl Scout cookie thing, which seems like some last-ditch effort to sort of rehab the brand. I think Harry's directionless. I mean, the last thing that he did, which was notable, with Stephen Colbert, he came from a real estate conference in Canada. What does he know about real estate? I don't know. I think when he starts to be directionless, Meghan is the main show. That's when we'll start to see issues within their relationship.
And that would break the internet, just to point out. That's the definition of breaking the internet.
That will be your exclusive. Don't worry, Matt.
All right.
Yeah, I can't imagine I'll get much sleep if that ever happens. But I think Harry as well. I can see him coming back to the UK for some more of his charity engagements like he did this year. We've got a security thing that's going on in January, the Home Office review into the level of threat against him. And I think when that is done and dusted, he could potentially come back to the UK a lot more. Maybe he'll bring his children. I don't think Meghan's going to come back to the UK. I just don't see it, even if security issues sorted out. But I think we'll see him see his father again.
Lovely. Okay. All right, we've just got time for our quick-fire questions to round up. So as the King is set for USA and Caribbean in 2026, where would you like to see William and Catherine go on their next overseas trip?
Well, I want to see William and Catherine go to Australia with the 3 children, and I was with the Princess at Wellington Barracks for the Irish Day, Irish Guards Parade, and she said to one of the mums, the wives there, "Oh, I really want to take the kids to Australia." I heard her with my own ears in the same room, so she definitely wants to do it. I don't think it's going to be next year in 2026, though, but I think they need to pretty soon with the children.
He needs to get Earthshot to go to Australia and then do a big tour and bring the kids over there.
Robert Irwin wants that as well. He might be Earthshot ambassadors, he told me. Yeah.
Where would you like to see them go? You can't have Australia. Australia's been taken.
I know, but also after Bondi, we need them the most. We need that unity. We need them to go and visit the site and, show people what it means to actually have solidarity for the Jewish community. But yeah, God, I can't, that you stole mine.
Sorry.
But yeah, no, I think, gosh, I'd love to go see them go to America and show Meghan and Harry what it is like to actually be a royal and touch down on that ground. And I think that they need to go to America and show them.
That'd be great. Well, they're not since Caribbean in 2022.
Yeah.
They haven't gone on a big tour. They did go to Boston briefly together, but not
Earthshot again. Yeah. I think we need to do an international tour that's not Earthshot related.
Well, Trump loves them, so they'll be welcomed with open arms. Yeah.
I think America would definitely welcome them open arms. Which royal? I'll go to save Cameron stealing your favourite answer. Okay, you can go first. Which royal residence would you love to spend Christmas at, and why?
Which residence? Oh gosh, absolutely Balmoral.
That was mine.
There's so much lore around it. All I want to do is just go get weighed and spend a Christmas there and just stuff my face with everything and just enjoy and be in an ugly jumper and just enjoy with the royals. That would be my dream.
You can go together.
Yeah. There we go. There we go. Yeah. Maybe some sleigh ride or something if it's snowing up in Aberdeenshire.
Oh yes.
Yeah. To be honest, Sandringham, I know they go there anyway, but why can't I go as well? I'd love to be a fly on the wall for their Christmas dinner. Although I think they do presents on Christmas Eve. They do the Germanic tradition, started by Prince Albert. So I'm not sure about that one.
No. Well, Castle of May, on the Scottish theme. The one right at the top, Castle of May. That would be awesome.
Quite
a
isolating.
Windswept, isolated Christmas, like a horror movie. Maybe. It'd be fascinating. Right, and final question. Which royal would you like to have if you were part of a palace secret Santa?
I'd want the Queen Camilla.
Oh, yeah?
And I'd get her a bottle of Meghan's As Ever wine, because I think she'd find it quite funny.
I think I'd want Charlotte. I think Charlotte's sort of, I think she'd give me a great gift. It'd be thoughtful. She'd know what I want. I just feel like she's a switched on lady already at her young age. And I'd like to receive a gift from her. Why not?
What would you get her?
Oh, what would I get her? Oh, gosh, she's got everything. I'd probably get her something sort of really out of bounds, like something that they wouldn't. Probably an iPhone. I know that William's not giving. William's not giving any of those to the kids. Maybe I'll just slip her one so that she can check Instagram and look at Meghan's. See her cousins for the first time, or the backs of their heads.
I'd like Prince George, because I'd give him a Reading football shirt, because my
Very
campaign
good.
is to try and persuade George to be a Reading fan, because they're the Royals and they're his local team.
Yes.
Because I'm a Reading fan, and I'm trying to widen this debate to make sure George gets to the Majeski Stadium or Select Car Leasing Stadium, as it's called now, and get him there. So there you go. That's just a personal thing. Right.
I think William would burn the Reading top. He'll get quite annoyed with you. I think you're going to have to fight that one out with William.
All right. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate that. Been through a lot and been a lot of fun. That's all we have time for on this week's Royal Exclusive. Thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments below as usual, and remember to subscribe to us here on our new Royal Exclusive YouTube channel for the latest on all things royal. See you next week.